Hey Steelers Nation, what's coming out in the media today has taken everyone by surprise. There are rumors of a change at the quarterback position that nobody expected, with an unexpected ally for Howard. The Steelers are already eyeing an underrated receiver in free agency for 2026. He will be highly contested, and that's not all. The Steelers should try to sign a wide receiver from the Packers in free agency. Let's go to the first news item, which is about the Steelers quarterback situation. So here's the deal. For the first time since 2007, the Steelers walked into an offseason without Mike Tomlin running the show. 19 years, man. That's basically a lifetime in NFL years. And the moment he stepped down, the organization moved fast. Didn't waste time, didn't drag it out, and then landed on Mike McCarthy as the new head coach. And of course, the first big question hovering over the entire building was simple. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? McCarthy didn't hide anything. He wants Rodgers back for 2026. He said it publicly, he said it privately, he said it in a way that makes you think the door is wide open for one more year of the four-time MVP. But whether Rodgers actually wants to run it back is the part nobody can answer yet. He's 42, he's been banged up, he's coming off a season where he fought through a left wrist fracture. So nothing is guaranteed. But then, out of nowhere, all-pro pass rusher Max Crosby, yes, a Raider, decides to weigh in. And what he said caught everybody off guard. Crosby basically pitched a succession plan for Pittsburgh. His idea: let Rodgers have one more year to steady the ship under McCarthy, and then hand the franchise to Will Howard. And Crosby wasn't throwing soft compliments either. He said he's a full believer in Howard, called him a hell of a player, and pushed the idea that sitting and learning might turn him into the guy the Steelers build around. A Raider hyping up a Steelers QB. That alone should make fans raise an eyebrow. Now, to be fair, Howard's story in Pittsburgh has been complicated. The Steelers drafted him in the 6th round, pick 185, after passing on Jackson Dart and skipping Shedeur Sanders multiple times. That move already put a spotlight on him. Then training camp hit, and he broke his hand. Just like that, the whole developmental plan went sideways. He stayed on IR until mid-November, and by the time he came back, Rodgers was hurt but still playing, and Mason Rudolph was the backup. Howard never saw the field, not a single snap in 2025. So yeah, it's totally fair for fans to feel unsure, but here's the thing, McCarthy actually likes this idea, at least the structure of it. Rodgers gives him stability during the coaching transition. Howard sits, learns, and eventually takes over when the roster is fully revamped in 2027. On paper, that sounds clean. A veteran bridge, a young QB waiting in the wings, a long-term blueprint instead of another panic button rebuild. But man, on paper and in reality are two different sports. Rodgers could retire tomorrow. Howard still hasn't played an NFL snap, and a plan that looks simple can turn into chaos quickly, especially when it's being suggested by a guy wearing silver and black, not black and gold. Still, here's what matters. Will Howard isn't forgotten inside the building. The coaches like him, the front office likes him, and if Rodgers does come back, Howard will get a full offseason to finally develop, stay healthy, and actually compete for something. And if that QB talk wasn't enough, the next update hits even harder, because it's all about fixing the part of the offense that held this team back all year. If there's one thing Steelers fans agreed on in 2025, it was this: the offense wasn't scaring anybody. New head coach Mike McCarthy knows it, the front office knows it, and the entire league saw it on tape. Pittsburgh finished 25th in yards, 15th in points, and way behind the explosive offenses dominating the AFC. For a franchise that prides itself on competing every year, that's a problem that can't be ignored anymore. And that's exactly why wide receiver has become the hottest conversation in the building. DK Metcalf was solid in his first year, 850 yards, tied for the team lead in touchdowns. But defenses made the Steelers one-dimensional. Every week, it felt like teams bracketed Metcalf, took him out of the game, and nobody else stepped up. Calvin Austin III finished with just 372 yards. Nobody else even sniffed real production. That's why former Steelers legend Ben Roethlisberger went on his podcast and basically said, "You can't run a real offense without a legit WR2. Enter Alec Pierce." On Steelers Nation Radio, Matt Williamson dropped Pierce's name as someone Pittsburgh should absolutely chase in free agency. Yeah, and he wasn't quiet about it. According to Williamson, Pierce used to be a one-trick pony, a straight-line deep threat. But last season, he leveled up. Route running improved, separation improved, and suddenly he looked like a complete wide receiver instead of a situational guy, and the numbers back it up. With the Colts in 2025, Pierce put up 47 catches, 1,003 yards, and 6 touchdowns. For context, that yardage would have led the entire Steelers roster. Imagine pairing that with Metcalf. Suddenly, defenses can't double one guy. Suddenly, the offense has spacing. Suddenly, the Steelers aren't predictable. It's not just about adding talent. It's about changing the way this offense is defended. McCarthy understands this better than anyone. He's an offensive-minded coach stepping into a team that's been stuck in neutral for too long. His first real test in Pittsburgh isn't a playbook or a scheme. It's finding people who can actually make plays. And Pierce checks every box: young, ascending, reliable, and undervalued. Roethlisberger pointing out the WR2 issue makes the conversation even louder. When a Hall of Famer says the position is a problem, you listen. When analysts say Pierce fits perfectly next to Metcalf, you listen. And when the numbers show just how much the Steelers struggled without a second threat, you don't just listen, you act. But here's the thing, the Steelers can't stop at Pierce, not if they want real change. Williamson said it bluntly. Pittsburgh should go after not one, but 2 wide receivers. That's how far behind they are. That's how big the gap is, and honestly, he's right. McCarthy and GM Omar Khan have a massive offseason ahead. Fixing the receiver room is priority number 1, number 2, and maybe number 3. If you want Rodgers, or whoever the QB is, to have a chance, you need guys who can separate, threaten deep, win contested catches, and take pressure off Metcalf. And if you thought the Pierce talk was big, wait till you hear the next one, because this target has a real connection to Aaron Rodgers and fits McCarthy's system perfectly. So here's the next curveball in this suddenly wild Steelers offseason. Pittsburgh isn't just looking at Alec Pierce. They're also being pushed toward another wideout, one who already has chemistry with Aaron Rodgers and fits Mike McCarthy's offense right out of the box. Romeo Doubs. Pro Football Focus's Bradley Locker didn't sugarcoat it. He said Doubs is exactly the kind of player the Steelers should chase if they're serious about bringing their offense up to NFL speed. And honestly, he makes a pretty strong case. For starters, Pittsburgh's depth chart is basically DK Metcalf, and then a whole lot of yeah, maybe. The only receivers under contract for 2026 besides Metcalf are Ben Skowronek and Roman Wilson. That's not a supporting cast. That's a special teams meeting room. The Steelers need real starters, not placeholders. Doubs, meanwhile, has been quietly stacking solid seasons. His 78.6 PFF receiving grade over the last 3 years puts him in legit company. Since 2024, he's ranked in the 75th percentile versus single coverage, which matters a ton if he ends up playing next to Metcalf, where he'd be one-on-one constantly. Good hands, clean vertical routes, physical at the catch point, all things this offense is missing. He battled through some rough stretches in 2024, 2 concussions and a suspension after skipping practice, but he bounced back in 2025 with his best season ever. 724 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a monster 124-yard playoff performance against the Bears. The dude shows up when it counts, and you can't teach that. Now, here's where it gets interesting for Steelers Nation. Doubs and Rodgers already have history. Back in 2022, Rodgers was reportedly very fond of him. They clicked immediately in Green Bay, and Doubs understood the timing and precision Rodgers expects. That stuff matters. If Rodgers does return for 2026, and McCarthy has made it loud and clear he wants that to happen, and the transition could be seamless. Locker basically said it straight. Doubs would walk into Pittsburgh and already understand McCarthy's terminology, route adjustments, spacing rules, the whole deal. That's rare. Usually new receivers need months of reps just to stop thinking and start playing. Doubs wouldn't. The need is obvious. No Steelers WR besides Metcalf topped 376 yards last season. That's not just a weakness. That's a crisis. If Pittsburgh wants a real offense, they need guys who can win consistently. Doubs won't come cheap, but he's young, proven, and still ascending. But the real X factor? Rodgers could be the deal maker. If he returns, if he gives the green light, and if the Steelers show they're building an offense he can actually run, then yeah, Doubs might choose Pittsburgh over a dozen other interested teams. If the Steelers actually land even one of these guys, this offense finally moves forward. But if they miss again, 2026 could look just like last year. What would you do? Bring any of them in? Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.